Masechet Sukkah, Daf Lamed Gimel. The Gemara says, so the Gemara stuff from the bottom of Lamed Bet Amud Bet. The Gemara said, Tanu Rabbanan, Nashlu Rov Alav. If most of the leaves of the Hadas fell off, V'nishtayiru bo mi'ut, and you were left with a few leaves, or a minority of the leaves, kasher, it's kasher. As long as its braiding is still there. Says the Gemara, Hagufa Kasha, says this is difficult. How could you say such a thing? Amar, first you said, Nashlu Rov Alav, if most of the leaves fell off, kasher. Right, so it sounds like you have 3 leaves, 2 of them fell off, 1 is left, it's kasher. And then you say, as long as its braiding is there. The braiding is that you have the leaves covering the side. I only have 1 leaf. How could you say avoto is kayemet? And even if you want to say rubo kekulo, I don't even have rubo left. Says the Gemara, kivan denatri luhu tre avot heichi mishkahala. Once you have 2 off, how could you call it avot? Rashi rov alim tre mikol avot. 2 from each one. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi mishkahala be'asa mitzra'ah. Right? So mitzra'ah is a funny word. You would say it's Egyptian. Rashi has a different shot. Asa mitzra'ah gadel ala mitzar. It grows on the border of the field shel sadeh. So why would that be different than regular hadassim? Umitoch sheyesh lo makom panui. Normally you grow the hadassim together. They're squished, so they don't thrive. It's got room to grow. It doesn't just grow 3 leaves, it grows 7 leaves. It's Egyptian hadassim. Okay. Dekaimi shiv'a bechad kina. That you get 7 leaves from every nest, from every spot. So therefore, what? The chinatri arba'a, when 4 fall off, right? Rov alim fell off. Pashuluhu tlata. I have 3 left, and it's avoto kayem. Now, why didn't the Gemara say that I had 5 and 3 fell off and 2 were left? And I have it's rov of 3. Sounds like you have to have 3. Less than 3 is no good, even though it's rov of the what's it called. But maybe over there it's no good because it's not rov of what I used to have. Well, let's say I had 3 and 2 and 1 fell off. Is it still kasher because I didn't have a majority fall off? The round is misupah. I have rov avot.
2 is avot?
No, 3 is avot, but maybe I have rov of avot, so maybe it's still good. Amar, hi, Rashi. Okay, no. Amar Abaye, Shmami, now we learn from here. Hi asa mitzra'ah, the asa that grows either on the border or in Egypt, that has 7. Kasher l'hoshana is kasher. Pshita, of course, why not? It has 3. This is more avot, it has 7. Mao de teima, I might say. Maybe it's considered to have a secondary name because they don't call this one asa, they call it asa mitzra'ah. Lo mit kasher, it shouldn't be good. Kamash malan, that it's kasher. Says the Gemara, ve'ema hachinami. Maybe it's pasul because it says, because it's not a typical hadas, it has a shem levai. Etz avot amar hamanami kol makom. The Torah said etz avot. As long as it covers, I don't care if it's different or not. Tosafot asks, Tema, Ma'isal kadaitach lemivsela mishum shem levai. Why would you even think it should be pasul? Midi. Hadas ketiv bikra. Does it say hadas? If it says ezov and you tell me you're not ezov like Yevani, because it says ezov. Masha'enken, if it doesn't say hadas, it says it's avot. This is avot. It fits the description. Afilu hirduf machshirin. We would have thought hirduf would be kasher. Ilam mishum dechtiv derachei adarchenon. So they want to say no. The Teretz is that nobody ever said that when we were asking before, it wasn't that we were saying, oh, we're not sure what the Torah is telling us, and therefore maybe we should use this moon. We had a Masoret, Halachal Moshe Misinai. Everybody knows. Rambam says everybody knows that Hadassim is Anaf Etzavot means Hadassim. So Moshe Rabbeinu told them Hadassim. Says Elamah, we're trying to see, could we prove it from the Pesukim? Could you figure it out even from the Pesukim? Okay, so I can't. I can't, right? Maybe Hirduf would fit the pasuk, meaning your proof is not a proof, but not anybody thought it would be Hirduf. We wouldn't be Machshir Hirduf.
Only because
we know that. So Moshe did say Hadas, and that's the Havamina why you say needs a Shem Levai. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan.
Moshe said Hadas.
That's what the Rambam said. The Rambam said Moshe Rabbeinu showed them Hadassim, Lulav. He showed them everything. Is this what you got to say? No, right. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan. Yav Shurov Alav. If most of the leaves dry. So what's the psul of Yavesh? It's not Hadar. Right? So how much has to dry? Yav Shurov Alav. V'nish'aru bo shelosha badeh alin lachin. And it has three nests. Right? Three things of moist leaves. Kasher, it's kasher. The three have to be on the top. The top has to be moist, but it's the
three leaves, not the bud.
The three buds of three leaves have to be on the top. Look in Rashi. Shelosha badeh alim, shelosha badim, ubechol bad ubad shelosha alim. Lachin. Three nests of three leaves. Tebebatzir mishlosha alin. If you don't have three leaves, lo have avod. That's not avod. Uberosh kol echad. Shiu alin halachim berosh abadin. They have to be on the top. Aval be'emtza'am. If it's in the middle, lav hadar. So you see the psul is hadar. And as long as I have some freshness, some part of it that's not right on the top, it's still considered hadar.
Should be the whole thing good. The last three top NG, no good.
No, in that case, I would assume that it depends on rov. Thank you. The only thing we're saying over here is rov. Rov alav. If it's not rov alav, I don't care where it is. Niktam rosho, if the top got chopped off, it's pasu. Tani ula barachinena, niktam rosho. Right, so the top, you need to have it the natural end of the thing. Niktam rosho, if the top got chopped off. The alta botamra, hare, we see that the berries grow on the thing. If the berry grew out of the top, kasher, it's kasher.
Why? Because it's showing.
Because Rashi, no, over the alta botamra, kemin tamra, like the dates that grow, ke'ena nimtza be'ale arava, like the ones that grow on the aravot. I don't know why he doesn't say the ones that grow on the hadasim. Be'amim, be'alim. I guess he doesn't mean it's the regular berries. The ones that grow on the arava, sometimes be'alim, davu kemim pri yarok. There's some sort of a greenish pri. I never saw that on our aravot. V'tzov im bo hanashim tze'ifehem, and the ladies use it as a dye for their shawls. Right? Kasher, it's kasher. So the Gemara says, why? Because it closes off the top. It doesn't look deficient. Ba'i Rabbi Yirmiyah niktam rosho me'erev Yom Tov. Let's say the top got chopped on erev Yom Tov. Ve'alta bo tamra b'Yom Tov. It's amazing. It grew. The tamra grew after it was cut. Chidush. It's not connected to the ground.
No life source.
Flowers.
It's still.
This is pretty good. Right?
Still has moisture in the stem.
I understand. It's not connected to the ground. Right? The alta botamra b'Yom Tov. They open. They don't grow.
I'm saying, but to continue the life cycle.
Right. The alta botamra b'Yom Tov. Mahu yesh dichu etzel mitzvot or lo. What's the question? The question is it possible to say that a mitzvah was rejected by a korban? We had this concept in Masechet Yoma, right? That you can have a korban that once it becomes ineligible, you can never bring it back. So, for example, if you had the Sa'ir la Hashem and the Sa'ir la Zazil died, those that hold Yesh Dichu will say that you can never use the Sa'ir la Hashem. You have to use a different one. If you die Yesh Dichu, you can't use that one again. So to over here, if on Yom Tov, right, it fell off on Erev Yom Tov, right? And so it's pasul, and it came into Yom Tov. So now, when it got to Yom Tov, that was when the dichui happened. Before Yom Tov, it's not a dichui because it's not a time of the mitzvah. But once you hit Yom Tov and it's the time of the mitzvah and it was pasul, and then it grew,
It stays pasul.
so maybe there's dichui. Or do you say no? Meaning Rabbi Yomi is pashut to him that there's dichui by mitzvah. What's his question? No, sorry. He's pashut. His question is the dichui by mitzvah? Right? Look at Rashi. Yesh dichui al b'mitzvot ve'al tabot tamra b'yom tov mi shene'egad after he already tied it. The betalush nami sal kabei. Rashi says, yeah, it can even come after it's cut. Yesh dichui etzel mitzvot. Kilomar noheget torat dichui etzel mitzvot keshem shenoheget etzel korbanot. Just like by korbanot, there's a din of dichui. De'im nir'eh v'nitcheh. If the korban was viable after the shechita, and then it got pushed off, amart, we say yidche, it's rejected. The tu lo hadar hazi, it cannot become eligible again. Hachanami ho'il v'nidchu, since it got ruined, kisheniktam. Tu lo hadar mechzi, ba'aliyat tamra, it's not going to be eligible when the tamra grows. V'hashta lo dayik, we're not discussing whether it was ra'ui from the beginning, whether it was not eligible from the beginning of the holiday, or if it was one time eligible. Like Rashi gave an example that the korban was nishchat good, was near it, and then something went wrong, right? And it became nidche, and then it became near it again. Or you could have a korban that from the beginning wasn't good, and then it becomes good. We'll see. The Haydn,
you don't have a time frame.
The Haydn Niktam me'erev Yom Tov, this one that got cut on Erev Yom Tov, lo nireh me'olam, it was never good in the beginning. It's not exactly like the case of the Korban. We're going to get into that later. Right? So the Gemara says, so the question is, yesh dichui etzel mitzvah olo. Why would you say not? Maybe only by Kodashim, there's dichui. You cannot compare the Kedusha of a Korban to the Kedusha of mitzvah. Right? Says the Gemara, I'll prove to you. Let's prove from where we learned. Kisahu, you have yeshachted a chicken. What's the mitzvah that you have? Kisu yadam. V'nitka kisahu, I covered it. V'nitkala, and then the wind uncovered it. Patur milachasot. Why? Once you covered it, you did the mitzvah. Kisahu haruach, right? If the wind covered it, hayav lechasot, then you have to cover it.
After the wind blew it off?
Oh, 1 second. Kisau haruach hayav lechasot. What am I going to cover? It's already covered.
Right.
The Amar Rabba Bar Chana Amar B'Yochanan Lo Shanu, that if the wind covered it, you have to cover it. Ela shehazar v'nitkala. You only have to cover it if the wind covered it and uncovered it. Aval lo hazar v'nitkala, but if the wind didn't uncover it, patur milchasot, you don't have to cover it because it's already covered. Rashi.
Cover it more?
You don't have to. There's nothing to do. Lo shanu dekisa waru hayav lechasot ela shehazar v'nitkala. So we try to understand. Ki hazar v'nitkala, when it got uncovered again, amai chayav lechaso, why do you have to cover it? Why don't we say, like by korbanot, the mitzvah was rejected. At the point that it was covered, the mitzvah was gone. Now maybe it can't come back. The Amar Papa, and Papa said, Zotomedet, we could learn from here. And dihui etzel mitzvot, there's no law of dihui by mitzvot. So now, Rav Papa told us, we learn from Rabbi Yochanan, that Rabbi Yochanan holds and dihui by mitzvot. So why does Rav Yirmi have a question? Rav Yirmi's question is maybe from the fact that it was tied up with a niktam rosho, it's nitche. Why should he say that? Rabbi Yochanan told me and dihui etzel mitzvot. So once the tamra goes back, it's okay. What?
There's a time aspect to it.
What's the time aspect?
One is when the mitzvah is halal made, when it's not. So beforehand, it doesn't mean anything whether it's chopped or not. After,
it's already the time of the mitzvah.
but when I put the,
I woke up in the morning.
I get it. When I put it together, There was no mitzvah. It's pasul v'vav right now.
So therefore,
when the time of the mitzvah came
in the morning there was no thing, and then I came back from shul and it grew.
That night.
In the morning I woke up. I looked at my lulav. Is it kasher? Hazi? No, it's niktam rosho. I came back from shul. I guess I prayed good.
What you do in the morning?
But this is after the mitzvah is chalam.
Leave it.
The mitzvah is chalam already.
What do you mean? Oh, I already had a chiyuv.
I already had a chiyuv.
Okay. No. Says Rashi said we're not getting involved in dichui meikara. Adrabah. If anything, that's worse. So the Gemara says that papa gufa mi bayalei. What Rav Yomi is asking is, who is it? Who's asking the question? Rav Yomi. Yeah. Rav Yomi's question is in a papa, meaning that papa gufa mi bayalei. He's asking about Rav Papa's conclusion. Mifshat pshita le de en dichui etzel mitzvot. Lo shna lekula v'lo shna lechumra, or dilma sefuke misafkale. Lechumra amrinan, lekula lo amrinan. Meaning, over there in that case, it was lechumra. You're telling me the wind uncovered it again. So now go be mahmir and make kisuyada, right? Is it for sure that you have to make kisuyadam, or is it safek if you have to make kisuyadam? If, meaning, should you make a beracha? If you tell me it's for sure that I have to make Yisui Adam, so that means I know for sure in the Chui b'mitzvot. So then you could use your lulav that was nitche and nireh, and it's good. But maybe over there it's a safek to oraita lechumra. Maybe Rabbi Papa, maybe Rabbi Yochanan is not sure if yesh b'chui yisum mitzvot. So he's only telling you to cover it misafek. So over there, you have to be mahmir. But over here, the question is, can I use my lulav? Or do I have to borrow my friend's lulav? Maybe you have to borrow your friend's lulav. Safek, if there's dichuy mitzvot, and maybe your lulav is pasul. Tiku. Says the Gemara, we don't know the answer. Rashi. Papa gufa hai diyuka. This question, this the deduction. The Rav Papa, mi bayalei le Rav Yomi. Rav Yomi is not sure about. He's asking, mifsha pshita le letana. Is the Tana know for sure? The Tana kisau aruah hayav lechasot the en dichui. Loshna lechumra. Therefore, it doesn't make a difference if we're being mahmir. Kihachem. The mechayev le bekisu. You're telling him to cover mishum ta'amah the en dichui. For loshna lekula, and it doesn't make a difference if I'm being mekel. Like the case of Rabbi Miyah. The amrinan en dichui. If you say there's no dichui, have a kasher. V'im yesh dichui, have a pasul. The amrinan, and therefore will say en dichui. No, for sure there's no dichui. Umachshirinan. I know for sure. Or dilma misafkala. Rav Papa and Rabbi Yochanan are not sure l'tana. Umisfeka lechumra u'demechayev lebekisu. He's only telling you to cover it. Misafek. Shema and dichu, avalukula to be yotzeh with a lulav that was nitche, kigon le'inyan temara lo amrina. We won't say it. Ela paslina shema yesh dichui or en dichui. Says the Gemara tiku. We don't know the answer. Lema ketana. Let's say that it's this question of yesh dichui yatzum esvot is machloket tanaim. Right, the end of the Mishnah says. No, it's not the end of the Mishnah. It's a Braita. Right? The Mishnah says the if you have a hadas that has too many berries, it's pasul. But if you pull off the berries, it becomes kasher. The end mema'atin b'yom tov. You can't pull them off on Yom Tov. Why? Mitaken. Let's say the guy didn't know and he pulled them off, or he knew and he pulled them off. Leima ketanae avar v'liktan. If he picked the berries. Pasul, it's pasul, divrei Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Tzadok. V'chachamim machshirim. So what's the mahloket? Rashi. Avar v'liktan le'invei hadas. Shayu merubin me'alin. They had more berries than leaves. V'tanan in mi'atan if you made it less kasher. Ve'en me'ma'atim b'yom tov. You can't pull them off on Yom Tov mishum shevut. It's a drabanan. Shedomeh le'metaken keli. It's like you're fixing a keli. Umachshiro. And if he was over and did it, pasul kedemefarish ta'ama ve'azil savruha. So now, what?
not going to be Mizvah.
That's an excellent question, right? Savruha, they thought the kule alma and tzarich egg. Everybody holds, not like Rabbi Yehuda, like the Chachamim, that you don't have to tie up the lulav. The imtim tzelomar tzarich eged, and even if you're gonna say we hold lulav tzarich eged, lo yalfina lulav misukah. Even if you say you need to tie it, there's no din of asiyah, right? It doesn't say va'asitem lulav, right? What it says lukachtem. So if I hold that you have to tie the lulav, there's no din of ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. Because what's the problem over here? You're going to tell me that I tied the lulav and there was lots of berries, right? So when I made it, it was pasul. And then you took off the berries after. It's like you put this chach connected to the ground and then you cut it, right? So savruha, either everybody holds lulav and tzarich eged, or even if I hold tzarich eged, we don't learn lulav. So where would you learn? You learn lulav from Sukkah. By Sukkah it says asiyah, and therefore we make a hekesh lulav to Sukkah. Just like by Sukkah there's a psul of ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. Maybe by lulav there's also a psul. No, we're definitely not going to say. 1 second, right? Ve'im tzarich eged lo yalfina lulav misukah dichtiv be'ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. Look in Rashi. Savruha Rabbanan the Beit Midrash, the rabbis of the Beit Midrash, the Ba'ul Meima that they wanted to say, the half plukta that this machloket is biyesh dichui, the end dichui who, meaning Rabbi Eliezer, but Sabdok says it's pasul, says it's nidche. Why? It already had berries. You did it on Yom Tov. Yesh dichui etzel mitzvot. Once it was pasul on Yom Tov, it's gone. And the Chachamim say, right? The Chachamim say end dichui etzel mitzvot.
So can we tie this back also to
1 second. Says Gemara, the kule alma Rabbi Anan, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Sadok, hold lulav and tzarich egg. So therefore, lo shayach be'asiyah. The reason why it's pasul can't be because you made it wrong. The luki ta'amad Rabbi Eliezer, the pasal will say Rabbi Eliezer posel mishum ta'aseh v'lo menasu. Not because of dichui, but because you made it pepsul. The paslut. The inami tzarich eged, and if there's no eged, there's no making. The inami tzarich eged, and even if you say you have to tie it, and the tying is the building of the lulav, like the building of the sukkah, filu hachi mishum ta'aseh v'lo min asui lo mifsal. The Haber did lo ketiv ta'aseh. The Torah never said ta'aseh by the lulav. V'lulav, you know why there's no ta'aseh v'lo min asui? V'lulav misukah lo yalu. We're not learning lulav from sukkah. Hilkach mehashta leka lemifsila. There's no way to be posel. Ela mishum dichui. The only psul, it's not ta'aseh v'lo min asui. It must be dichui. Tekivan she'agado bepsul. Once you tied it up when it was pasul. V'nikra alav shem lulav. It became a lulav shel mitzvah. B'shat dichui. And at the time that you did it, it was ineligible. Nidche le'olam. It's rejected. V'afalgav delo nir'eh v'nidcheu. Even though it was never good, right? It wasn't that it was good and it got rejected. It was rejected from the beginning. Ela dahui mi'ikara. It was rejected from the beginning of when you tied it. Even so, that's considered difri. So what'd you tell me the mahloka when he tied it, when he took him off on Yom Tov? Let's say he tied it on Erev Yom Tov, and then he took him off. Why don't you say the same thing? Tistama batar de agidahu. Because first of all, Yom Tov, he probably tied it. Teha bi Yom Tov lo agid. You can't tie it on Yom Tov. V'i lo tzarich eged. And even if you're saying he doesn't need eged, because that was the avamina.
You can't tie it on Yom Tov?
How are you going to tie it? You're allowed to make knots on Yom Tov?
Doesn't have to be permanent knot.
Who said? V'i lo tzarich eged. It tzarich leminkat bi Yom Tov. Mishum di'ilo lav de kadish hayom. If it didn't become Yom Tov yet, akati lo hal ale zman mitzvah. It's not the time of the mitzvah yet. Velo shem mitzvah lemikriya dahui. It's not dahui. It's only could be dahui when it's the time of the mitzvah. Before Yom Tov, there's no dichui. Like Rabbi Yomi said. It's not the mitzvah yet. Says the Gemara.
So even if the night before it was pasul, it doesn't matter.
That's a good question. Says the Gemara, my love, so what's the mahloket? Demand the pasil. Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Sadok says it's pasul. Savar amrinan yesh dichui etzel mitzvot. He holds there is dichui by mitzvot. So therefore, once it was black, once it was these berries, it's pasul. Oman de machshir, the one that says kasher savar lo amrinan yesh dichui etzel mitzvot. So it's a mahloket tanaim. Rashi man de machshar savar. What? No, he wasn't allowed to. He did it. Oman de machshar savar en dichui le'inyan mitzvah. There's no dichui for mitzvah. Ela le'inyan kiddusha, only by something that has kiddusha korban, kegon korban. Says the Gemara, lo, that's not the mahloket. The kule alma, if it was mahloket tanaim, Rabbi Yomi would have told us that. The kule alma lo amrinan yesh dichui etzel mitzvah. Everybody holds there's no dichui by mitzvah. They're arguing, do I learn lulav from Sukkah? Mor savar, one holds, yalfinan lulav misukah. We do learn lulav from Sukkah. And therefore, just like Sukkah, we hold yesh egg. Lulav tzarich egg. And Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Tzadok learned lulav from Sukkah. Just like Sukkah, you have to make it b'kashrut. So to lulav, you have to make it b'kashrut. This one you made with berries. Your asiyah is pasul. What do? Take it apart, put it back together.
Hey, you go back to the pasuk. One says one says vasita.
We learn one from the other. Rashi. Look, the kule alma amrinan yesh dichui b'mitzvah. Everybody holds this dichui. Lo amrinan yesh dichui. Lo amrin. We don't say this dichui. V'ta'amad demand de pasal. Mishum ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. Tekasavar lulav tzarich lemega. You have to tie it. V'shayach be'asiyah. And it is asiyah. V'hacha b'meilaf lulav misukah yalfinan. Yalfinan b'binyan av. Ho'il v'zeh ba'asiyah. You have to make the sukkah. V'zeh ba'asiyah, and the lulav you have to make. Ma zeh v'lo min ha'asui. Just like lulav is not min ha'asui. Sukkah is not min ha'asui. Av zeh v'lo min ha'asui. So that's the first shot. Meilaf lulav misukah. Mor savar, Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Tzadok, yalfinan lulav misukah. Mor savar lo yalfinan lulav misukah. V'bayitema, I can tell you another shot. Isvira lan lulav tzarich eged. If you hold that you have to tie the lulav, the kule alma, everybody agrees. Yalfinan lulav misukah. We learned the lulav from the sukkah. V'hacha belulav tzarich eged kameflagi. Does the lulav need eged? We're arguing. Ubeplukta dahani tanae. It's old machloket. These tanaim. The tanya lulav ben agud ben she'en agud kasher. The lulav is kasher whether you tied it or not. Rabbi Yehuda says agud kasher she'en agud pasul. If it's tied, it's kasher. If it's not tied, it's pasul. Says the Gemara, Ma'ita Amad Rabbi Yehuda. Where does Rabbi Yehuda learn you have to tie it from? Doesn't say it in the pasuk. Yalif lekicha me'agudat ezov. He learns a gezerah shava from ezov. Ketiv hacha ulkachtem lachem bayom harishon. Uchtiv hatam ulkachtem agudat ezov. Ma lehalan aguda. Just like by the ezov, it's an aguda. Afkan aguda. So to over here, it's an aguda. So therefore, you need to tie it. Once you have to tie it, we learn a gezerah shava. No, we learn gezerah shava. We learn a mamatzin, a binyanav. It's like it has to be ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. So too, ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. But Rabbanan led lehu lekicha. They don't have the gezerah shava. Gemara. So now, if it comes out that the Chachamim don't have a gezerah shava, and the Rabbi Yehuda has a gezerah shava, we have a problem. Man tana lahad tanu Rabbanan lulav mitzvah le'ogdo. It's a mitzvah to tie the lulav. Ve'im lo agado, if you didn't tie it kasher, it's kasher mani. Who wrote this braita? Rabbi Yehuda. If it's Rabbi Yehuda, kilo agado amai kasher. We have a gezerah shava. Ve'i Rabbanan. My mitzvah ka'avid. Where does it say to tie it? It says the Gemara le'olam Rabbanan. U'mitzvah mishum zeh livan vehu. And zeh livan vehu is l'chatchila but not b'di'av. Rashi yalfinan be'an vehu hitna'eh lefanav. Beautify yourself in front of a mitzvah.
Eget's beautiful.
Yeah, sure. Says the Gemara, or if there was more berries, this thing, our great rabbi said. Rashi says, who's Rabbeinu Agadol? Rav. Rabbeinu Agadol. Hamakom yeh be'ezro. Hashem should help him. Right? He said, good. Lo shanu ela b'makom ehad. When do I say the berries are pasul? If they're clustered in one area. You got a big berry area. Aval b'shnayim u'shlosha mekomot. If they're in 2 or 3 places, kasher, it's kasher. Rashi. B'makom ehad. שהענבים כולם ביחד, they're all together. ומיהו מרובים הם על העלים שבכל הדס. There's more berries here than the leaves on the whole הדס. Right? אמר לרבה, so Rava told him, שניים או שלושה מקומות, הווה מנומר. Right? 2 or 3 places is spotted. Upasul, and that's worse. Menumaru pasul delav hadaru. It's nice when it's all green. When you have spots, it's not a hidur. Shareha anavim, the berry shehorot are black. The ha'alin yerukot. Menumar is tachash velas. It's spotted. Menumar, not good. Okay, polka dots. Says Gemara, ela hi itmar hachi itmar. So Rav for sure didn't say that. The Svara is the opposite. Hachi itmar. O shayu anava merubim me'alav pasul. There's more berries than leaves. It's pasul. Amar Rav Chisda, davar zeh, Rabbeinu Agadol amaro. Our great rabbi said, the hamakom yeh be'ezron. Hashem should be in his assistance. Lo shanu ela anavav shehorot. It's only pasul if the berries are black. Aval anavav yerukot, if the berries are green. Mine de hadasu. It's part of the hadas. It's the same type as the hadas. V'kasher, and it's kasher. Look in Rashi. Ela sheha'anavim shehorot shekvar etchilu libash. They started getting dry. Umashchirim, and they turn black. Umetchilatam yerukim hem. In the beginning, they're green. I don't know if they're getting dry or they're getting ripe. Mine de hadas ninhu. It's hadasim shemarehem shavelo. It's the same color. Ve'eno nireh menumar. It doesn't look spotted. The Gemara says no. Says Gemara, Amar Papa, it's not ugly. Amar Papa, Adumot, if they're red, Kishchorot Amyan. That's the same as black. The Amar Bichanina, Haidam, Shahor, if you have black, a lady sees black, yeah, it's considered blood. Adomhu Ela Shalaka. It was red and it got sick, it got black. So the same thing over here, red and black is the same. I don't know why you have to bring that for, but okay. I would say Adumot Kishchoro because it's a different color. It's not green. Yeah. For all I know, blue is the same too. Rashi.
I thought red was also part of the
natural color scheme of Hadas.
It's still right.
Adumot Kishchorot, but it looks different.
So coming out, you can have majority of the Hadas with green berries.
Green berries, right? Adumot Kishchorot, Damyan Dalav, Min Yaroku, it's not green. Vezehu Shachrirutan. That's their blackness. It's already blacking. And when it gets a little black, darker, a little dry, it turns black. The Amar Bichanina le'inyan dam nida. Dam shahor bi'isha. If a lady sees a black color, I'm just going, yeah. Ela shelaka. Lefikach temeuhu. That's why they made it tameh. Kedetnan hamisha damim temeim bi'isha. Ha'adom v'hashahor. Okay. Back in the Gemara. Imi'atan, if he lessened them, kasher, it's kasher. The mi'atinu emat. When did he lessen them? Ilema mikame de agde. If he lessened it before he tied it, pshita. Of course, it's kasher. Pshita Rashi. Amay nifsele. Lo mina asu yeshkan. It's not a problem of ta'aseh v'lo mina asui. Sharei ne'egad behechsher. V'lo mishum dichu yeshkan. Sharei lo kara shem mitzvah aleh b'dihui. Assuming you need eged, they never made it into a mitzvah. Ela lebatar de agde. He must have tied it after he must have taken off the berries after he tied it. Dichui mi'ikarahu. So when I tied it, it was nitche, right? Dichui mi'ikarahu.
He had no mitzvah yet.
But no, so I made it no good, right?
But then I can't tell you on the holiday.
Tiv shot minei dichui miikara lo have dichui. Let's say that the Tana is coming to teach me that a dichui from the beginning is not a dichui. It's only a dichui if it was good and it became bad, and then they fixed it. But if it started off bad, so that's not called dichui. It was never good. I first made it good. Now it's like I'm making it.
So when I put it together, it wasn't.
And we don't know ta'aseh v'lo minasui, Rashi.
Why?
Because we don't learn lulav from Sukkah, whatever. Rashi. Ela batar de agdei v'ashmuinan haytana. The Tana is teaching us the lulav mi Sukkah lo yalfinan lemifsaleh. The Tana is teaching us when the Tana says v'mi atan kasher, he's talking. You took him off after you tied it, and the chidush is you don't say ta'aseh v'lo minasui, right? The lemifsaleh mishum minasui b'psul. Mihu mishum dichui. Havalan lemifsala. We should have said it's pasul because of dichui. Share nikra alav shem hoshana pesula b'shat agidato. So even though you don't say ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui, because the Tana is teaching us, we don't learn lulav from Sukkah. He says, but l'chaura, you should have said it's pasul because it was nidche. As soon as you tied it into a lulav, into a hoshana, it became nidche. And now you took him off, it was nidche v'nireh elamah. But from the fact that he says it's kasher, shmami, now we learn dichui miikara lav dichui, that if it was dachui from the beginning, it's not a dichui. V'nivshot mine palga di'ibayalam. Let's answer half of the question. The question is yesh dichui etzel mitzvot or en dichui. Is the dichui or not? Nivshot mehacha. Let's learn from here. The dichui miikara, if it was pushed off from the beginning of the mitzvah. Lo amrinam be'dahav we don't say dichui over there. For lo have dichui, the only time that it's even a question, ela em ken nir'eh b'yom tov. If on Yom Tov it was good, right? Let's say the berries were green, right? When you tied it, and then the berries got dry and they turned red, and then you took them off. So that's nir'eh v'nidche, and then nir'eh. That would be a question. But if when you tied them, they were already brown. So it's dichui miikara, and then you pull them off. Everybody will agree it's okay. That's what the Tana is teaching us. A, you don't say ta'aseh v'lo min ha'asui. B, that dichui miikara is not a dichui.
How did I pull them off on Yom Tov?
I wasn't allowed to.
I did it.
I did it anyway.
Like no mitzvah about that.
Now, says the Gemara, le'olam batar de'agde. Really, he pulled them off after he tied it. The kasavar and the Tana holds eged. Hazmana be'almahu, the tying is only hazmana. Hazmana be'alma lav klumu. That's the chiddush of the Tana.
So you do it on Yom Tov.
Rashi, no, you can't. Hachiga, this guy's doing it on Friday, on Erev Yom Tov. Hachiga sinan le'olam batar de'agida. V'kasavar eged hazmana be'almahu. En agudato kiryat shem liot halale shem lulav pasul lidchot. Ve'elka chafilu dichui mi'ikara en kan ad sheyikadesh alav hayom. Ve'odenu bepsulo, tekivan demata zman mitzvah, ve'lo hazu le mikriya dahui. Mikama achilo. He says, really, the guy did it on Erev Yom Tov. He took off the berries on Erev Yom Tov. And the chiddush of the Tana is, you're telling me there's no ta'aseh v'lo minasui, right? That we already established. We don't learn one from the other. So I made it on Erev Yom Tov. But you might say that once I made it on Erev Yom Tov, it's already considered a mitzvah. Mashmalan, it's not. It's not the time of the mitzvah yet. You know what? It's a mitzvah tomorrow. Eged, the tying it, yes, right? It's not like Sukkah. By Sukkah, well, that's not civil manasui. It's not considered a mitzvah until the holiday, so there's no dichui. The en mema'atim b'yom tov.
So regardless of the status of the lulav before Yom Tov, it doesn't matter. It's only really when it comes the morning of.
Or the night. Or the night.
At night, there's no mitzvah.
It could be it's already chal. I don't know. Says the Gemara, ve'en mema'atin b'yom tov. You're not allowed to lessen the berries on Yom Tov. Says the Gemara, ha'avar v'liktan, if he did pick them, my kasher, it's kasher. The ashkur eimat, when did they turn black? Ilema the ashkur meit, well, if they were black yesterday, dichui mi'ikarahu. So then when Yom Tov started, it was already nidche. Tifshot mineh, let's learn. Dichui mi'ikara, the law have a dichui. Let's learn that dichui mi'ikara is not a dichui. Elalav, the ashkur be Yom Tov. So, okay, now, so it must be a term black on Yom Tov. Nire v'nidchehu, so then better. It was a good lulav, then it became a bad lulav, and then I made a kosher by picking him off.
It doesn't matter what.
Shamat mina, it was good on Yom Tov. It was green on Yom Tov. And then Shma mina nire v'nidchehu, chozer v'nir'eh, that even if it's never go back, so you're either going to prove dichui mikara lo shma dichui, lo shma dichui, or nire v'nidche is good too. Said le'olam de'ashchu mikara, was black from the beginning. Dichui mikara, de lo have dichui tifshot mineh. Prove that dichui mikara is not a dichui. Aval nire v'nidche, chozer v'nir'eh lo tifshot. But don't prove nire v'nidche is good, because that's worse. Rashi, had mi atinu biyom tov kasher. V'afagav den egad kevar, even though it was tied, the biyom tov lo agid, he's not tying it on Yom Tov. Ud ashkur anavim eimat. The ilu yerukot, green ones, lo pasli. Dichui mi'ikarahu, the ham matas man mitzvah. The time of the mitzvah came. V'lo hazi, and it wasn't eligible. V'avale dichui mi'ikara. So from the beginning, it was no good. So it says, okay, no, ela da ashkur be Yom Tov. You don't like that? It got bad on Yom Tov. The hamatas man mitzvah. The time of the mitzvah came. V'lo haz. Sorry. V'harei nire be Yom Tov. It was good. V'nidche, it became pushed off kishish chilu. Shma minah, so you'd rather prove that nira v'nidche is good? So we say no. Tifshot mineh devadai dichul mikara adif minir v'nidche. The opposite of this I said before, right? If it was bad from the beginning, that's less of a psul than being good and getting rejected, right? Dema shelonir ela mitzvah me'olam hadachshav, something that was not yet eligible for the mitzvah. Hash the mitchazi. Now it's first becoming eligible. It's like you're making it kadosh now. In the beginning, it was too young. Every korban is like that. Every korban is nidche mi'ikara because it was too young. If it was eligible and it got pushed off, that's dichu. Now we go, and we're going to quote the Baraita we had before. Tanu Rabbanan, en mema'atin b'yom tov.
So just not like Rashi said earlier. He's changing his opinion now.
Rashi is not changing anything.
Rashi earlier said that the dichui was only after it was good and then went bad.
That's nira v'nidche. That's the maskana. Says Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, en mema'atin b'yom tov. You can't lessen the berries on Yom Tov. Mishum Rabbi, why we said it's mitaken? Mishum Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon. Amru mema'atin. He says you're allowed to. Says Yom Tov. You're making a tikkun. Why? Rashi shahaya pasul umachshiro. Now Rashi said before it's in Yisud Rabbanan. Says the Gemara Amar Rav Ashi kegon sheliktan la'achila. He picked him to eat him.
That's mutar?
So it's a davar she'enu mitkaven. Rashi sheliktan la'anavim halalu min hadas al menat lo ochlam ve'enu mitkaven la'achshiro. The guy likes hadas berries. It's his favorite thing. Says the Gemara of Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon. Who's his father? Rabbi Shimon. Savar la ke'avu, he held like his father. Da'amar dabash emet kaven mutar. What? Ochel nefesh to fix hadasim? Again, you're not allowed to fix hadasim. If in order to eat something, you have to fix your table. Says the Gemara.
It's the food itself. This is the actual food.
Savar lak, nice question. The ha'abaya v'rava, the amri tarvayu moder bi shimon bepsik reshev lo yamut. Understand? When you're eating the berries, it's a psik ratio. You're gonna fix them, right? Says the Gemara. He has another hadas. So what? I'm fixing this one. So Rashi says, if the guy says, I'm going to chop off the head of the animal, but I'm not looking for it to die. It's impossible that it won't die. We consider that מתכוון. וכי אמרינן דבר שאינו מתכוון מותר. When do I say a דבר שמתכוון is מותר? כגון היכא דאפשר בלא איסור. And it could not happen. כגון גורר אדם, person is dragging מיטה, כיסא וספסל, a bed, a chair, or a bench. ובלבד שלא יתכוון לעשות חריץ. As long as it's not intention to make a furrow in the ground. ואגב דאיכא למיחש דילמה עביד חריץ. Maybe it will happen. כיוון דלא מתכוון לאחי. It's not my intention. Right? ואפשר לגררה בלא חריץ. And it's possible to drag it without a חריץ. כי עביד נמי חריץ. When you made a חריץ, עביד מלאכה גמורה לא מתחייב, he's not חייב. אבל היכא דוודאי עביד, when he makes a mod, he agrees. So the Gemara says, לא צריכה תהית להושענא אחרית. He has another hadassim. ולא צריך לה, he doesn't need this one. הלקח, אין כאן תיקון כלי, there's no תיקון כלי. דלא צריכה לי לאחשורה. He doesn't have to be machshuret. ולא דמי השתא לפסיק רישא דהתם. Since I don't need it, who says it's a tikkun? Says eating berries off a hadassim is not a tikkun. It's only a tikkun if I want it.
What's the point of this?
ולא דמי השתא לפסיק רישא. דהתם איכא נטילת נשמה ממה נפשה. I take off the animal, that's a melacha. והכה לקה תיקון כלי. It's not really a tikkun keli. אבל אילו הווה אחרית, if you don't have another one, מה השביל למענה? צריך להכי, I need it. ואגב, זה לא מכוון לה, if it was my intention, אסור. דאפסיק רישא ולא ימות. Tosfot has a different shot. Tosfot says it's פסיק רישא דלא ניחא ליה, and פסיק רישא דלא ניחא ליה becomes חשין שכר לגופה, and לחשין שכר only פטור, and הצורך מצווה, ומתיר.
Yeah, this is right. This is nichale.
I don't need it.
I do need it. I don't have another one.
No, when I have another one, psiק רישא דלא ניחא.
But if I don't have another one, for sure, it would be there was no.
Yeah, ever. Says Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, Hutar Agudo b'Yom Tov. Let's say he tied up his lulav and it came out on Yom Tov. Ogdo ka'aguda shel yara. So you tie it like they tie vegetables. When they tie vegetables, they just wrap it around and they stick it in, but they don't tie it.
Usually.
Ve'amai le'an ve'me'anav. Why don't you make a loop? Hamani Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar aniva keshira me'al yatahu. He says looping is a real knot. Rabbi Yehuda eged me'al yatah. Eged me'al yatah. But you need a real knot. So how could wrapping it around be good? It has to be a real knot. Haitana savar la kavate behada. He holds like him in L'chot Shabbat. Upaliga lebehada. But he argues on him legabe eged lulav. Look in Rashi. Hutar ugdo shelulav biyom tov. If the knot of the lulav came out, ugdo bekricha be'alma. Just wrap it around. Yichroch ha'eged saviv v'yitchov rosho betoch hakrach. Then stick it into the bundle. Kemo sheogdim agudat yerik. V'lo yikshor shnei harashim. Don't tie them ke'echad. Keshar kesharim. The kesher shel kayama, a permanent knot, me'avot melachotu. V'zeh shel kayamahu. That's a permanent knot. She'eno choshesh latiro olamit. He's not taking it out. Ve'amai dahak le'bechi hagavna. Why are you pushing it to tie it like a yerek le'anve me'anav? Make a loop. Ve'hachi mekayim tvei. It lasts better. Ve'isur melacha leka de'aniva lav keshirahu. Looping is not tying. Rabbi Yehuda. It's Rabbi Yehuda b'masechet Shabbat. Tanya hevel b'li shenefsak. If you had the string of the pail that broke, and koshro, don't tie it, ela onvo lupe. Rabbi Yehuda omer korech ala pundiya opiskiya, wrap it with a belt, but don't tie it. Rabbi Yehuda kesher me'al yabai. He needs a real knot. Kedetanya le'el she'eno agud pasul degamar me'agudat ezo ve'hai lav agudu. This wrapping is not it's not considered tying. Haitana savar la kavate behada. He holds like him in one, the aniva keshira hila inyan Shabbat. Upalig aleh, he argues on him bilulav. The end tzarich egg. Now listen to this Rashi. Shamina mehacha, we learn from here. The ba'ina bilulav kesher gamur. Sheyikshor shnei rashi ha'eged. You have to tie them. The ha'ogdan ke'agudah shel yerek. Lav eged. Ve'afilu Rabbanan depligi aled Rabbi Yehuda ve'amri lulav she'en agud kasher. Modu, they agree. The mitzvah le'ogdo, they agree that it's a mitzvah to tie it. kedetanya le'el mishum ze'elivan vehu v'ukimna kerabanan. So therefore, even though minadin, I don't have to do it. Lechatchila, you should tie it with a kesher gamu. Double knot. Baruch Adonai Le'olam.
So only on the holiday. If I need to, then I do it with
Maybe
the
the kesher when we make one that we make.
That's why you tie a real knot. That's what Rashi says. Okay. Chodesh
Thank
Tov,
you, Rabbi.
everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Jojo, you're overtime in deal.
I know. I got to get out of here.
He loves it. He loves it.
Take care.